Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joy LaChere with another session of Matured Musicians. And I have Brian Borso with us today. I hope I pronounced that right. Did I, Brian?
You did.
All right, great. And he's going to tell us his backstory today. We're going to try something new to see if we can play one of his videos playing. So with that being said, I would like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Luscious Moss Studio, owned and operated by Chad Christ out of Edgewood, Washington. He has a very creative, collaborative environment, and I do my productions there for my recordings. And he originally was set up for guitarists and drummers. That should interest you. And he kind of moved on. He got some new equipment, and it's fantastic. It's also, he has a new AI system to help make it easier for him to do the things that he needs to do when he records. So if you have any needs at all, you can find him on Facebook under Luscious Moss Studio in Edgewood, Washington, or Chad Christ. And you'll find him there, and I'm sure he can help you. So with that being said, Brian, what did you get interested in percussion and drums?
Well, I started playing percussion at fifth grade uh, down in Montesano. We had an amazing instructor. Our band instructor back in the day, he would start with us at fifth grade, and he'd be there all the way until we graduated.
Wow.
What got me kind of interested in percussion was I had family members that told me I was tone deaf. So I'm like,
Oh,
all
no.
right.
Oh, no. So are
I
you
want to play music still, so
Oh, my
that was
goodness.
kind of what kind of pivoted me to the drums. That, and apparently when I was a little kid, according to my late grandmother, I would grab a pair of sticks and bang on anything, and she always thought I was going to be a drummer. So all the stars aligned, I suppose.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? I got a screen in here I just can't get rid of. I don't know where it's coming from, but I got a screen. Doesn't want to let me out. And I got to fix that problem. There it is. I had to punch the live. Anyway, hi, Rosie. I'm glad to see you. We have a comment section, Brian. I don't know if you can see it up in the top there. And down below, I'll be answering any questions that we have. Rosie's a regular. She often comes here and visits for a few minutes and sometimes a little longer. So your grandmother, say again what your grandmother told you. She said you were tone deaf. Was she the one who said it?
No. I had siblings, and my mom kind of said I was tone deaf when I was a kid,
Okay.
which
Okay.
it's possible that I'm a little tone deaf, but that was, it was come band time. I had a older brother that was played violin. I had an older sister that played flute, so it's kind of my turn.
Yeah.
And when I was little kid, my grandmother always said I was her drummer boy. I'd bang on everything, so it was all the stars kind of aligned and pushed me down that avenue.
All right. Well, not all bad, but I'd like you to tell us. Well, you told me about your high school, and I was a band, high school band.
Yes. So the cool thing about Mr. Nelson back in the day at Montesano, he started as your instructor from fifth grade all the way till you were a senior. So you had the same guy teaching you the entire time. He did both concert and marching band, and we would pivot between the two and play, go into parades and win sweepstakes on parades against high schools that's all they did was march. So he was phenomenal and fantastic. Anyone who came from Montesano knows the name. He's just kind of legend.
That's the first time I've heard that they had an instructor all the way through. What high school did you go to, Brian?
Montesano.
Where's Montesano?
In between Alma and Aberdeen, on your way to the coast.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I know where it is. I know I got my bearings. My husband's actually from the state of Washington. I'm not, so I'm spin me around twice and I'm forever lost.
Fair enough.
So, what kind of instruments was he teaching you in band when you first started?
Well, he taught everyone. He was a pretty amazing guy. He taught all the different sections, but I ended up leaning towards the bass drum because I was able to keep tempo better than my cohorts. So a lot of times, if someone else playing the bass drum, he'd stop the whole thing and he'd scream, "Brian, get on the bass!" So I kind of got pulled into playing the bass drum a lot. I also played timpani in concert band, so had to have a little bit of a tone because I have to tune those guys. But I love playing timpani. Timpanis get the best part, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. They get the ending, the big glorious endings, or dun dun dun.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I love the kettle drums.
So,
But those were
did
the
you?
two things that I played the most. But as a percussionist in Montesano, you went all over the place. You played cymbals, whatever the production needed. We even had the big old bells, like not just the glockenspiel. I mean, like the bells, where you need the rawhide mallet that hit it. So he actually, Montesano was pretty blessed, and they had a pretty deep percussion room on interesting instruments that I got to play throughout the years.
Yeah. No, that's not the only drums you played. You played a cajon. Was that later? Is that when you started later?
That was later in life. So when I graduated, I went a couple years without music. It was just one of those things, as a band kid, you played for an hour every day, every
Yeah.
school day.
Wow.
And there's a couple years where I didn't have it. And I felt like there's this little thing that was missing, and I never quite realized what it was until I had a friend who took me to a drum circle, and then he ended up selling me a djembe, and I played that quite a bit in my the late thousands, I guess. And I moved over to playing the other instruments. I ended up playing with a guy that I worked with the djembe. That's what I started out with, and it was slowly slipping the drum head on it. And then one night I decided, you know what, I'm going to restring it. It didn't work out. It's still in the corner and needs to be restrung. But I still wanted to continue playing, so I went out and bought a conga bongo
Yeah.
combination and started playing with him with that. While we were playing, he also bought a cajon himself, and I started kind of fooling around on that, and that's what got me to go just buy a regular old box drum, so I could
Yeah.
kind of emulate a little more of the drum set for some of the stuff we were doing. So that's what got me moved over to the cajon.
So I'm getting a little feedback coming up. Yeah, I'm getting bad feedback. I think because we have that screen on. Can you get back to your video screen if we take it down?
Yeah, you can close that if you need.
All
Yeah.
right. See if I can get it off here. Sorry, guys. So we got feedback. Oop. Are you able to take it down from your side?
Let me try. Give me 1 second, Joy.
Because I'm afraid you're going to go.
There we go.
Thank you. Oh, anyway, so when was the first time that you quit after a couple years after high school? You quit with music, and what brought you back to it? And what kind of music once you got out and you were no longer in band doing these productions? What brought you back to music, and what kind?
I'm very eclectic when it comes to my taste in music. I just love music. I'll play just about anything, even like my least favorite. It's funny. I play a ton of country, and it's probably my least favorite genre. But I love playing. I love music.
No.
I love music in general.
Country.
Growing up, I was a 4-H kid, and that's what everyone listened to, and it kind of got shoved down my throat, and that was one of the reasons why I kind of had a disdain for it, was just because I was forced.
Yeah.
As I got older, I gained a lot of new appreciation, and there's always been a handful of people I loved in country, like Willie Nelson and
Yeah.
Garth Brooks, and there's a
Yeah.
so it's not that it's my least favorite, but I'm so eclectic. I love everything. I was band kid, so my first CDs as a kid is I had soundtracks to movies. I had like a Jurassic Park soundtrack. John Williams was one of my biggest inspirations as a kid. He made some of the best scores for some of the best movies, and that was what really drew me to music was those movies. You take away that those scores behind it, the theatrics that's going on, the feelings you have, like the opening scroll in the original Star Wars. If you take away John Williams, it looks like two little dinky starships going along. So I don't know. I always respect the emotion and just how important it is to all theatrics, in my opinion.
Right. I wouldn't tell people how I met you. I'm still getting feedback. I'm not sure what it is, Brian. Anyway, I met him at the Chronopalooza on August 24th of this year. He was working sound with Electric Dave. And I went out there with my band, country band. We played.
You guys just sounded amazing, by the way. Don't take it.
Yeah, those guys are like Electric Dave said, they're A-list guys. There's a really great band that one of them. There's several, but the one that I know the best is oh gosh, now I've got I can't think of the Hot Rodsters, and they play a lot of casinos, and so he's a good showman. He does a new band. I can't remember the name. He's going to shoot me, but I don't remember the name of it. They're also playing casinos, and they asked him to play with them. So he's super. Jamie Vandal is from this area in Snohomish, and he has his own band, the Vandals. And of course, everybody knows Doug. I don't know if you've been to any of the jams at Dawson, but he's the drummer there. And he's played for all the greats in the area, and then some. So yeah, they're a little beyond my ability, but they make me sound so good. Anyway,
you all sounded amazing, I thought.
But one of the things I noticed about you, Brian, and that drew my attention was you had a poncho on, and you look so country.
And like I said, to be fair, I'm a country kid. I grew up in Monsanto's 4-H and whatnot. And in the last year, I probably played more country music than any of the other genres. It's just kind of ironic.
Yeah. Well, the whole during the concert, what drew me is that you were looking and you were really interested in the music. You were listening, and you were standing there looking at us. And I thought, well, even if there's nobody there because it's raining cats and dogs prior to our playing, we drew your interest anyway. And I enjoyed that. And, I kind of figured you were a drummer. I don't know why. I just Oh, James, I got my friend. I got my friend on here, James. He's a Cherokee, and he runs a program. His name is James Crawford Talma, and he runs a program with missing kids. So he has pictures of the kids and where to contact if you see them, and then he puts his own music to it. Of course, he's Cherokee Indian, and so it's a Cherokee beat. And he just did on my website. He just did help my drummer get the beat for warriors like the Cherokee. And it was an interesting project. But anyway, liking drums, you would like that one because it's got a really accented full drum beat.
I love Native American drums.
Absolutely. All right, James. Hi. I'm glad you joined us. And he said, what's wrong with country music, James?
I was just identifying that I'm very eclectic. I like all genres, and the joke was I played more country in the last year, and it's probably my least favorite. But it's not that I don't like it. Yeah. The only reason was because as a small kid, it was kind of shoved down my throat by some people, so I didn't really appreciate it till later in my life.
So I wanted to ask you if you ever heard the soundtrack, which is my favorite of all now. There was another one was called Chariots of Fire. I think it was called. It was about Yeah, you remember that one? They had some great music in that.
Sure, absolutely. I think that might
But
be John Williams.
yeah, and what I'm going to ask you about is, do you ever heard the soundtrack? Now, my favorite of all time is Last of the Mohicans. Have you ever seen
Yes.
it? Oh my
Yes,
God.
absolutely. That is one of the best soundtracks of all times. But yes,
Oh yeah, it was just amazing. I keep going back to it just to hear it. But
the
moving along,
violins and everything on that piece.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
now
when I
the
really
ending,
need to get work done. That's the soundtrack I'll put on in the background. It really has got a drive and
yeah,
yeah, inspiration to creativity, I guess.
this Montesano band instructor sounds magnificent. I mean, on a better word, he really, if you could produce this kind of music and teach you guys to do that, I mean, you got it sacked, man. um,
I've been really fortunate with the different people I've met throughout the years, and yeah, he
yeah,
definitely created a foundation for my love for music. That's for sure.
absolutely. So today, moving today, what was the first paying gig you ever got with your drums?
My first band, first what gig? Paying gig? You said?
Paying, yeah, where you got
Um,
moolah.
so I used to play with a group called One Less Day. I think they're now known as the Mike Pierce Project. But that was my first real gig. Was playing with Mike and a couple guys. We practiced all summer to be able to play like 2 or 3 shows. We played out at Boston Harbor that year, and we played at a retirement party, and it was a lot of fun, and it really kind of got me the bug for wanting to play more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, down the road, we lost our bassist. He died in
Oh
2020,
no.
and
Oh,
kind of found different pieces to try to rebuild that band. And they're amazing. They're out there still performing. We kind of had a falling out about a year ago, and it really inspired me. At that point, I was like, you know what, I want to go and really learn how to play the drum set, because as a small kid. I was given a drum set, but really no instruction for it, and it kind of sat in the corner, collected dust all my. I was one of those regrets I had. So I spent a lot of time the last year. I got lessons from a guy named Eli Moffitt, works for Music First. I've been taking lessons for the last year with him. He's an amazing jazz drummer. And so kind of losing my train of thought here, but yeah, that's that. I've pivoted to spending a lot of time on the kit over the last year. I've had the great ability to play cajon with Dogger during that period of time, to be able to still get
yeah.
out and be able to still get out and play. I've actually played probably more paying gigs or live performances or whatnot with Dogger than anybody else at this point. That the last year's been pretty amazing running with him. But yeah, that's
Ever
kind of
see a
how.
Bigfoot?
Oh,
Ever
go
see
ahead,
a
Joy.
big? Ever see a Bigfoot?
Uh, well, that was a joke, because I'm kind of, hairy, so.
Okay. What is the name of his band?
It's Dogger.
Dogger. Okay, it is.
Yeah,
All right.
simply Dogger,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So if you have any, I've had him on here. He's interviewed with me. Very interesting musician, and I'm glad to hear that you're playing with him. So let's do a review here. You say you play the bass, you play the drums, you play the congos, and you play the cajon. Is that correct?
Yep, and I play the drum set now.
And now you play the drum set. And I just started learning to play the cajon, and I was taken from a really great Tommy Cook, I believe his name is. He a great guy and great drummer. Teaching me the cajon, and of course he gave me sheet music, the drum sheet music, no less, to read and play. And then I got busy this summer and I had to drop it. And he got busy and he was on the road with his wife's band. And before you know it, we were like separate ways. But what happened when I started playing the cajon, the more I learned about the cajon, the more I wanted to play the congo drums. It's where you're standing and you're playing them. And the more I wanted to learn how to play the drums. But I'm not sure that I could coordinate hitting the cymbals and hitting what is it called, the snare drum, or that little one?
Right. To me, it was the legs and the arms. That was the biggest, scary part for me. But I remind myself, it's like, hey, I can drive stick. I can. My arms, and my legs do work together. So it really came down to like the first couple months of drum lessons. It really had to do with body mechanics. And once I got those pieces down, a lot of it became really easy to a certain extent. A lot of my other things I've done in my life were able to lend strength to those moments.
Right. So we got some comments from James. He said, who's your favorite? Oh, this is a good one. Who's your favorite drummer, and what is the furthest away you have ever played?
My favorite drummer is probably Chad Smith at the moment of Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I also love Neil Peart.
I don't know either one of those, but I've heard
Neil Peart's for rock, and Chad Smith is the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer, and he's just about Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, it's a rock band from the '80s, and then Neil Peart's from Rush, the '80s band. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah. Yep. Hope that answers it, James. So
those two are just so talented. Everything you hear from them is like, wow. I can play a facsimile of that, but which is funny because one in the group that I'm that we really don't have a name. Our name right now is Musical Chairs. I play with Lake Nopsky, and I'm probably murdering your last name. I've never heard you say it out loud, Lake, so don't get mad at me.
Think of lingerie. It's lingerie.
But we play a lot of Red Hot Chili Pepper songs in that group. So it's funny. I'm being forced to learn a lot of it. Right now I got some straight beats on them, but the fills are fun to try to recreate that Chad Smith does.
So where do you usually play? I'm not sure where you live. I mean, you were in
I live in Olympia, and I play with a couple different groups of people. I play with Frank and Blaze on Saturday mornings. They're the ones out at Ground Mound that ran the Corona Palooza. So every Saturday at about 11, they have lessons they give to new learners, and come about 1 o'clock, we have like an open jam session. And there's also an album that Blaze and Frank and I have been working on. Blaze is actually composing the pieces. It's all original. It's classical music. So it's been really nice. It's forced me to relearn how to read music again, which has been great because now I can read the drum set chords. But it was like lost talent, go 15-20 years without doing it. And I was looking at the thing, like I could decipher these hieroglyphics, but I don't know if I could read them. So it's been a fun transition to get back to actually being able to read the music and play it as I go.
Yeah, I got a keyboard, and I used to play piano for years, but I never had the right beat. I didn't have the I should have gone to drums first and then moved. So it took me a while, but I still play from time to time. And the guy on here, James Toma, he was playing the piano last night when we were out at Duval jamming. So he says, well, you can't say I never played with you.
It's funny. I had to play the bells for a couple pieces, and I literally just memorized the parts. So nowadays, I can sit down at a keyboard and I can play those like 3 pieces that I memorized on the bells because it's the same configuration.
Someday you may need it. So, how does what does this work like? Is this done? Where is this done at? Where does Frank have a studio, or does he do it online, or?
Yeah, so when you played that whole big shop behind you, that's where we play.
Okay.
The shop behind the stage on the left is that's where we collect on Saturdays. That's one of my 3 groups of people I play with. I haven't gotten to play with Dogger nearly as much lately. He's got a good looping board, and he's got really good sound, so he's able to do a lot of what I was providing for him now by himself. We're still talking. I'm sure I'm going to end up backing him up later on down the road, but he's been so much fun to work with. He's puts food on the table with what he's doing. So it really forced me to be really knuckle down and get where I needed to be, because I wanted to be there to back him up and do that properly. And Dogger's professional. He wouldn't have me there if I wasn't where I needed to be. So he was really good at getting me some discipline that I think I'd been lacking up to that point. So I really appreciate Dogger for that. My other group I get to play with is Lake. We call ourselves the Musical Chairs because we get together on Tuesday nights, and it's more or less an open jam because we have a different group of people every week. We have and we'll just play whatever. We have a handful of songs that him and I have been. Oh, go ahead, Joy.
Is that in Olympia?
That's at my house in Olympia.
Oh,
so. Okay. If you're ever around on Tuesdays in Olympia, and let me know, and you can come on over. If we probably have it 2 or 3 times a month. We don't have it every week of the month, but let me know, and you definitely come join us.
Yeah, cool.
That's kind of. Oh, go ahead, Joy. I apologize.
That's okay. But keep that in mind. Start where you when we get off here. You said, what is your feeling about using cowbell? We were just talking about that, James.
More cowbell. I got one right here. I love the cowbell. It's funny. I was listening to the Beatles on the way up to the football game yesterday with my wife, and I was noticing that Ringo loves his cowbell, and I'm like, I need to start adding a little more of that.
Yeah, and more cowbell at the show too.
Oh yes, the good old Christopher Walken.
Yeah. So you were saying something before I interrupted. Do you remember what you were talking? You were talking about your jam, I think.
Oh yeah, my jam group. So so we have our jam groups on Tuesday, but kind of a derivative of that. Me and Lake and I, and then depending on our keyboarder that we get, and Blaze has been starting to play with us quite a bit lately too. Have been working on that group, and we kind of call it Musical Chairs because, like I said, we get a different person every week. But we're starting to get that down solid. We've been playing at Buzz's open mic night throughout the summer, and we have a handful of songs that I feel like that are really coming along. I'm really proud of myself, and Blake is just an amazing musician, and so is Blaze. It's really nice to have a bass player like Blaze again. Our bass player Tony, when he passed away, it was really unfortunate. He was a rock when it came to tempo, and it's nice to have somebody that I can lean on again when I start to slip. So it's really good to have Blaze there. And Lake is just amazing. He plays it upside down and backwards. He had a father that was right-handed. He's left-handed, and he's like, you can play it, but I'm not restringing it. So that's how he learned. And he's just amazing at being able to, like, during the jam sessions are really fun because we have people from all sorts of backgrounds. We have a brand new guy that comes that hasn't really played at all, that learns quite a bit from Blaze. We have some people that are just absolute professionals that show up. So it's really a really good collaborative moment, ability to learn to play with other people, and then just be able to pick up what someone else is starting to play and say, okay, what's the notes there, how to make those transitions. And he has an ear for music, and he has a hell of a voice. So I'm really happy to get to play with Lake and Blaze. Those two are outstanding musicians, and I'm really excited to have. Though there's more to come, the whole famous musician thing with us three. Just give us a little bit of time. Blaze, or Lake, and I have, and all three of us have full-time jobs. So sometimes getting us all together and getting the real work in is difficult, especially when we have open jam sessions. Sometimes we'll be planning on practicing on one of our things, then we'll kind of squirrel because that's more for everybody and the other people that show up.
Well, I agree with you about the bass player. I think that good bass player changes everything. With the bass and the drummer, if you're playing together and you're linked into each other, that music just roars. I mean, it just got that backing that people can dance to. They can sit there and listen. I mean, it just, I've been on stage when, I don't know if you know Lynn Sorensen. He used to be from 2000 to 2008, I believe. No, don't quote me on that. He was the bassist for Paul Rogers and Bad Company, and he traveled all over Europe. They had huge crowds of people, and He's really good on the bass, and he's gone a little deaf. I think he'll kill me, but he has turned up a little loud sometimes. But the vibration from his bass, and then Doug McGrew is the drummer. I mean, those two can make the floor shake, and you just feel that music. It just goes through you, and you can't possibly mess up if they're playing. I mean, if I just had the two of them, it was me and no lead, I could do the music because they just lead you right through it, and it's
Right.
important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about having that rhythm section.
Right, and I'm part of the rhythm section because I play rhythm. So, yeah, I've got to play my stuff with theirs. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So James asked a silly question here. I mean, I think he's been just a little bit teasing. You point him
I
upside
want
down.
one of those kits. What was it? The Motley Crue drummer that used to do that?
Really?
Tommy Lee with the whole spinning set.
Oh,
That would be
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he used to. Tommy Lee used to have so many theatrics when he played and drums. They used to lower him down. They used to have the thing on wheels. It looked like the whole thing was a roller coaster. It was pretty amazing. Some of the stunts they pulled back in the day.
That reminds me of Shania Twain. A while ago, when I had my band, I was trying to my other band. I was trying to figure out a Shania Twain song, and I think it was called "Let's Rock This Country" or something like that. Anyway, I couldn't figure out this beat, and finally, after watching a video, I realized she had two drummers on stage playing together, and it just
That is
rolled.
hard, but Slightly Stupid also does it as well. They have a like giant conga kit and a drum set, and those guys play together, and it's a fun to watch.
Yeah. So we've got it's about 31 minutes into this interview. So can we bring the I don't know what this is going to be like, but can we bring you playing the Cajon video again? I could not get this to work.
So we're just gonna play it in the background here. Hold on. Oh, did you want me to try to upload it into the actual thing? No, remember the
I don't
audio
know. It might
doesn't work.
cause you to get thrown up. We could
Hold on,
try
hold
it.
on, hold.
If all right. I don't often get people like Brian that can do the presentation off a video on his computer. So I hope to do it. It's unique.
So this is Lake and I at one of our more recent performances. This is just cell phone. Any of the nerds out there might realize this is actually a Zelda medley. That's the other thing. Lake and I are both very video game oriented guys, and so we have a handful of music that we've pulled from video games in our different sets.
Wish I had time.
This is 23 Kitchens. Can you guys hear that all right?
James, are you still there? And we're down to one. I'm not sure who's on. Whoever's on, can you tell us whether you can hear this or not?
Oh, we might have scared everyone away. Okay.
He said yes. No, he said yes. You can hear it.
But let me transition over to one where Lake is actually singing because he's got an amazing voice.
I'd hope we could have the visual. Can you get? I don't think it's doing its best, Brian.
Are you not hearing?
Yeah, it's just it's not doing it justice because it's picking up only the bass. Like phones sometimes
Uh,
do. The
um,
yeah.
yeah, the
So
video format. The problem is we tried this earlier. Video format. The audio isn't playing through this app. So
okay. Okay.
unfortunately,
Just skip that.
we can provide like links or whatnot later
Okay.
and such.
All right. That sounds good to me. We can do. Oh, and I'd like you to think about starting to post anything that you're doing, including your jams on Matured Musicians. I'm assuming you're a member because I don't think you'd be here if you weren't.
Yep,
And
yep.
I ask people that I interview to keep in touch with us and post stuff. Have
Okay.
you banned or you put up a website yet or anything that they can go to?
You can go to my. So I have a Facebook page called Borso Drumming. It doesn't have much on it at the moment. It doesn't really have the work that I've been doing over the summer. It's funny. Preparing for this interview articulated how little I have recorded. I've just been so focused on making the music that I haven't really focused on getting good recordings of it. I really wish I would have thought about it this last Thursday when we were at Buzz's, because I felt like that set was really good, but it is what it is. I will in the future get more recordings, and it's only going to get better. So
Absolutely. And I like to hear what you're doing, and I'm sure other people would too. You're one of the few people that are really just getting started with your music for performances in the area. So, and unfortunately, James says try Dropbox. Um, anyway, and it takes a little while, but it sounds to me like you have a very solid background, and you've got the beats. You got it's in you. I just know it is. So, what were you doing when COVID? I mean, you said you lost a bass player in 2020. Did he succumb to COVID?
I never got all the details. It wouldn't surprise me, but from my understanding, it was a heart attack. It's
Oh,
really unfortunate. We'd played the last time anyone heard from him, and we Mike was a good friend of his. Mike and him came over and played at my house that night. We had a great night, and then nobody heard from over the weekend. And he went over to his house and had to force his way in and found him. It was not
oh.
a fun day.
Yeah, I lost a bass player too, and I had my band, and he was so much fun. He used to sing all these off the wall songs that were out there in country. I can't even think of one. Something about a dragon. I know that, and just weird, funny stuff. Yeah, and he had a heart attack in his parking lot before he went to work, and they found him. It's funny how that stuff happens. You just live for today because you don't know if tomorrow's going to be there.
It's a good reminder. It really is. Enjoy the moment you're in here and now.
All right.
Because you never know.
Back to the COVID thing. What were you? I mean, you were already beginning, right? Because you had a bass player, you're in a band. What was going on with that? How were you
Well,
feeling?
for the most, I worked with Mike, so we were already kind of we had to see each other during the day when we went in, so we were already kind of exposed to one another, so we'd still practice during
Yeah.
that period of time. And Tony didn't really see anybody else, so that was kind of those were the only two people I really saw during that period of time. Had over at my place, but yeah, we just kind of continued, and that happened, and yeah, it was kind of a leaf in the wind for for I don't know, about half a year until we found a different bass player.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm
Never
sorry to
quite
hear
filled the
that.
shoes.
Yeah. It was a crazy time. It really was. And a lot of, I started for writing songs for the first time just to keep busy because I don't see anybody but my husband. And so, I had to do something. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to sit here every day and watch TV. This is a waste of my time. And so I started this program in August of, I believe it was 20 or 21. 21. So I've been doing it for 3 years. So it was August 2000. 21. And then I contacted one of the guys I'd played at a jam with, Chad Chris, and I said, and I checked all over it, it's like they wanted $1,000 an hour to produce music up in Woodinville at one of the places there. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I contacted Chad, and lo and behold, he wasn't doing a whole lot. He was doing as best he could. And his band was down as well, Heart by Heart. And that's what I did. That's what I did. So I get it. I understand how hard it was, but I kept busy. So that helps. So what do you think about your plans for the future? I know you want to keep working on your drumming, and do you still play your cajon and your bongos, right?
Yeah,
or
the poor bongos are in the corner collecting dust. It's part of the bigger set, and they get hit every once in a while. But they've probably gotten the most neglect over the last year and a half. I ended up playing a show with them, and I wasn't particularly happy with my performance. So I'm focused on just the set and then the cone for any actual real performance.
For what, the cajon? Cajon, did you say?
Yes. So I'm hopefully here soon. I'm going to be able to just play everything that we're doing on this drum set, but sometimes that isn't logistically feasible. So the cajon comes in for those moments where you have a small place, you really can't get a drum set in there, or such situations like that. So I'm sure it'll still get its use. But yeah, that's what I want to focus on is the drum set right now. And it was fun at Coronapalooza. I got asked to play with Sid Sedane, and they didn't have a drummer. I was very, very nervous, and it kills me. They got the last half of the set recorded, which I did all right with. But I was starting to run out of steam. I would have killed to get to see the first two songs because I
know you're asking.
Yeah, I have that post, but it felt like you wouldn't have known that I didn't know the song. Is how it felt at the end, and I wanted to hear that. So I know I'm going to have plenty more moments of validation in the future. Just after the year playing the drum set, that was going to be my moment of aha, see.
Yeah, but he does a lot of. He was doing originals, right?
Yes, most everything he was doing. So yeah, I had heard. I got to hear a little bit of the YouTube ahead of time, like half hour before the set. But that was all the preparation I got for that. So that's what made me so proud of it. Is all like, hey, I only picked a year ago. I could barely even do this, and now I can actually play through a whole set, get pulled up on stage. So I was really proud of myself in that moment. It was really pushing me to keep going.
Absolutely. Whatever inspires you, I get those times. For last week, my husband was on vacation. I never picked up the guitar. I never went to a jam session until last night. And it was good to get away from it, but now I'm kind of behind. I got to catch up again.
Yeah, that's the one issue is we're all a little ADHD in my group, and we're easily squirreled. So, but that's the fun part is we're all pretty good comrades, and we're all our headspace in a similar spot. So nobody's on anybody for anything. And at the end of the day, we're still producing and getting better each time. So even if we go left, it ends up having some non-intrinsic value that kind of comes back.
Exactly. So what is your biggest struggle? Just learning the drum at this point in time is just learning the drums and having the confidence to play them.
I've definitely struggled with confidence over the last year and a half when I had the falling out with my band. Can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
Oh, I hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, after that point, I was at a real low. I started getting out to open mics, got to meet a few people, and all it takes is those couple sparks, couple of those moments, and all of a sudden it starts to come back. And it's funny you say that about confidence. That's why that Sister Dame performance was such a big deal to me, because I feel like I got through a mental barrier in my head during that performance, and I can play a little bit faster ever since then, and I don't know where it came from, but it feels like it came from that moment. I don't know. So yeah, it's with any performer, athletes, everything. Confidence is key, and it's something that I've struggled with at different points in my life because I'm very I'm highly critical of myself. So it's hard to fight that internal voice, and sometimes I beat myself up quite a bit. That's my process, unfortunately. But it's finding a good balance between that, and I'm starting to.
Yeah, I have what's called imposter syndrome. I think I looked it up and I thought, oh my God, this fits. Because I am a perfectionist and I want to do it right, and of course that just doesn't happen in life as much as I'd like it to. And so, the recording studio is a whole different ballgame because you can go over and correct it, or you can go over it and say, well, you don't like that take. Let's do this again, and again and again until it's right. But you don't have that when you're live. And every now and then, I like when I was out there, I messed up a song I do all the time. It was called These Boots by Nancy Sinatra.
I love Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah, I was just making up words the second verse, and then I made him go back and do the verse again and got it right. But something distracted me and it threw me off my focus. And when that happened, it was like, okay, let's make up something here real quick, fill it in, and put the other thing in.
And it's a big deal when you're on that kit, because if you have that moment of hesitation, man, everything, the whole beat and everything's relying on it, and it affects everything. So that's that thing about having a good bass player too, to be like, aha, and go right back into it. Right. That's kind of what happened when I was on the set with Sid. There was that one moment where I felt like I was about ready to lose the beat, but there was just such good energy on the stage. I just swung right back into it. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people. I mean, famous people and everywhere that have that problem. And when you're a perfectionist and you want to do something so badly, you want to do it right, you want to do it to the best of your ability, it is really hard to get through after you make mistakes. And so maybe about 48 hours it took me to pull out of that and then go back and listen to all the music, because I film everything, and find out what I did right. I just go back and I look and say, okay, here are all the things I did right. I made this mistake here, a mistake there, but then I heard the lead make a mistake. I heard the bass player make a mistake. It's like, it is never, ever going to be absolutely perfect, and you're always going to be growing.
Yeah, so what Frank and Blaze try to instill in me is I need to be a little gentler with myself and really appreciate what I've been able to accomplish in only a year's time. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it's human, and we do it. I got one of my Canadian listeners on here. His name is Brian Harris, and his wife plays the drums. And they have quite a little band somewhere near Langley, I believe. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Oh God, Brian, I got a mental block, and I can't remember exactly where it is. But he said it's best to go with the moment and give it all you got, and that's the best you can do. It's going to improve with time. You're if you want to do it right, you will continue to improve. And how fast you improve depends on how much you want to practice.
Right, and always, I'm still getting lessons tonight. I have a lesson with Eli tonight, so.
You're gonna do fine. I have every confidence in you. And the other thing I was going to ask is, you ever had, and now other than this, and I know that you're struggling with this too, but have you ever had a time when you got into a situation when you were playing where you were just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever done?
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Yeah, I had a couple sets like that actually near the end of my other group, and Yeah, I went back and even listened to it. It's like, oh God, that was just I was just not clicking. But yeah, I wasn't in the greatest spot in my life either at that point. We had lost a cat, a family cat that I'd had for 16 years, and I was in kind of a depressive mode. I was kind of not spending the time I needed to on my instrument because there's an individual in our group that wasn't catching up to the songs that I actually appreciated to play. So I was getting lazy and bored with the old stuff. Yeah, I remember that last gig with them. I remember feeling like, ooh, yuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that stuck with me for a long time because it ended up being the last gig I played with them. So
Yeah, I get it. Oh boy, do I get it. So where are you headed to? Okay, so you're learning the drums. You already played the cajon and the congos. Not so much the bongos, I don't think, if they're dusty. And where do you want to be in, let's say, 2 years? What do you want to be doing?
I would be happy if musical chairs just really got their swimming legs and we had a handful of gigs throughout the years in the next couple years. That's really my dream, is to see Lake, Blaze, and I. And we actually met another guitarist at open mic last Thursday that seemed like he really clicked. So it'll be interesting if he ends up becoming part of the whole thing. But yeah, that's what I would like to see really gain some steam. And I really just want to be able to go out and perform and be proud of what I'm doing, and be able to bring that to the community, because we have just so much talent in Olympia. You can go to an open mic night, see a better performance than you pay for on the other side of the nation.
Yes,
So
absolutely. I've been there. I've
it's
done that.
daunting and intimidating, but it's also humbling, and it's really, really just such a special treat once you realize it.
Right. Yeah, this whole area from Bellingham all the way down to Centralia, I'd say. Everything in between there is just teeming with talent, unbelievably good people. And I have this lady, she rides English, and she taught it, and she had her own stables and ranch and whatever. And she finally hung it up for financial reasons, and she turned to drumming. And within just a few years, man, she's good. She's really good, and she's been. I've interviewed her here. Name is Joanne Ayers, so I know what can be done within 2 to 3 years when you're committed. It's amazing. So, my every hope is that you reach that goal.
I'm not going to stop unless my body gives out.
Oh, well, you got a lot of body there. It's pretty young compared to where I'm looking. Mine is not cooperating, but I can't stand anymore. I have to sit and it's just part of the game, I guess. I got another question here. How many pieces in your drum set? Oh, yeah. And do you have a plan to add more? I've
Oh,
seen.
there's always I always tell myself, this is the last piece, this is the last piece, and I'm telling my wife, oh no, I only need this and I only need that. So I'll bring you over here, and maybe you guys can see kind of the kit here. The poor congas in the corner, they get struck every once in a while. But this is kind of what I'm working with for my acoustic set. I have an electronic kit as well that I use for indoor performances, and I take the buzzes for open mic night quite a bit. But Blake calls this the Fortress. We have good old roto drums over there, a handful of cymbals, just your regular toms, definitely cowbell. Asked about that earlier. Need a repositioned wood block sitting over there in the corner, but everything's mic'd up, and so we can even record if we need to with this thing. But it's kind of turned into the secondary as far as recording goes, because I have the electronic kit now. Lisa's Strike Pro, if anybody's curious.
Yeah, I had the full screen on so they could see your setup there. So it's not a keyboard. Do you play the keyboard too?
The keyboard can be used for percussion, and so that's why it's there. Sometimes I turn it to the percussion side. Like I said, I played bells in bands, so I can kind of noodle on it a smidge. But Nothing that I would perform.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's
I
there
know.
for the open jam. See, I try to keep as many musical instruments here in case someone shows up and they don't have one, and they're like, "I want to learn this," but like, "Oh, just grab it off the wall." You have a 12-string and a 6-string guitar on the wall. The joke is, if anyone wants to play the 12-string, they have to tune it.
Yeah. Brian gets out another question. He said, Drumeo is a great place to go for drums. I've been there. Um, and share each other's stuff and to get great lessons if you wish to have them. I have that, and I've gone there. Tommy Cook put me onto that. And it's a great, yeah, I absolutely agree with Brian. It's a great resource for drummers.
I've
When I
seen the links on Facebook, and I've been really curious about it because in the 2000s, I'm ashamed to say it because I'm a gamer. I played a lot of Guitar Hero. I got to a point where, like, if I play this anymore, I need to learn the real instrument. But I've seen that Drumeo has that for drums, where it'll actually have the whole thing kind of lined up like Guitar Hero in that sense. So it'd probably be very, very beneficial. It's something I've looked at, but I haven't dipped my toes into yet.
Yeah. So we got a MC Nemes on Amazon Music. Hey, I'm a musician. Now I don't know who said that. I don't quite understand it, that comment, but do you get that one? He's on YouTube commenting.
Okay.
He or she. I mean, it could be a woman too. I don't can't tell on here.
You never know.
So, not quite sure what you mean. Can you explain a little more? But hey, if you're a musician, absolutely. So Toma is saying, James is saying, what kind of drum bass are your favorite? And do you? And I have one. Do you know how to tune your cajon?
The cajon is really just when you take it apart, it's just like a guitar string right across the drum head. So yes, I've had to take apart my old cajon. I haven't had to take apart my new electronic one. There isn't really much tuning to it. If that string starts to get loose or breaks, you'll know right away, and it's just all about tightening it. Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but I saw a film on it, and I asked Tommy how to do it, and that was for later lessons. So I don't know.
They're all a little bit different in their construction, so it really depends on what cajon you have.
I'll have to show you a picture of mine when we're done. So, we get a male vocalist on here. MC Nemes, is that your name? And you can be found on Amazon Music. Let me know. I'll look you up. You want to come on the show? I'll get you up here.
What brand of drums are your favorite? Everyone loves Roland. I mean, as far if you start talking about the electronics, I have a Alesis. I love it, but Roland's definitely the best there. As far as the physical drums, I'm one of those guys that my entire life I've gotten out of the stadium at the Seahawks stadium and came across some guy with 2 buckets and a trash lid sounding amazing. So Doggers always push on me. It's all about good equipment, and it is. Good equipment can make the musician, but I've been talking with a handful of percussionists, and I don't know if that is always the case with the percussionists. Once you get the right percussionist, they can bang on just about anything and make really amazing sounds. So I don't know if I really have a particular favorite set of drums. I just love what sounds good. I've always been that way with most brands. There's a couple good years of a Ford, and then the next couple years they don't make that good of a Ford. So I've never been a brand loyalist. I've been hey, does that sound good? Does that work good? Does that
There's a place I go to jam. The guy's name is Billy Shue, and he's in Stockton, Maple Valley, on Wednesday night, 6 to 9. And not to diss his drummer, but he just has one of those drums that is sharp. I'm not sure why. And so it sounds really loud and I don't want to say tinny, it's just sharp. I don't know how to explain it. And
I get that. That reminds me of Lars in St. Anger. It sounds like he's banging on a garbage can. So you can make bad decisions there, definitely, when it comes to the tonality that you're getting out of it. But a lot of that has to do with your sound engineer too, and how they're picking it up and how they're crunching it and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I wonder. I should tell Billy. Have you ever tried to put a little more bass in there? But I don't dare. I don't want to. The drummer is such a nice guy. You hate to sometimes be as honest as you like to be, just because you know what it feels like when somebody does it to you, right? So, anyway, do you realize that we have just a few seconds left, about 60 seconds?
All
So,
right.
anything you want to say before we close?
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to get to share my story. You can catch me at Borso Drumming on Facebook. I'll definitely start linking more to our other groups that I've been working with and involved there. And yeah, if you're ever feel down about what you're doing and working on, just keep on working. Just keep on pressing through. You'll get there. And music's definitely not an overnight thing, but it can be too. That's my other piece of advice. If you're really, really slamming your head against something, go take a nap. It's amazing what a good night's sleep will. I'll be working on a fill, and the next like all night, can't get it. Wake up in the morning and do it in one shot. So be patient and be humble with yourself and keep on getting out there and playing. We all deserve music. It doesn't matter how any of us are at it. We all deserve to be a part of it, to have it in our lives, and I really think it has benefits beyond what I can even explain.
It is, yes. Medically, it's been proven. It exercises every part of your brain and senses. So, yes, it's healing. With that, Brian, we do have a comment from James Tama. He said, "Good job to you for your interview." And I guess me too. No, I didn't cover half of what I'd like to cover with you. But we have you back if you'll come later on to see where you're at with your your progress.
Absolutely.
And musical chairs. I like to know, and maybe we can have you all on here at some point in time.
That would be fun. I'll talk to those guys about it.
Okay. Well, with that, I regret it, but I hate to say it, but I have to say goodbye. And thank you so much for coming out. I will be sending you the YouTube video so that you can find it. If you ever want to put this on as your EPK, your electronic press kit, eventually you'll find out what that is. You can use it if you want to or not. I mean, you can use it anywhere you want. It's yours. So with that, I want to thank everybody for listening today. I appreciated your feedback. This first time I've had a lot of feedback. I guess it just takes a drummer. See you.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Troy. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that does it for me today. I believe I have a young lady called Jessica Flom, Floam, coming next Monday. I happen to meet her at a jam in Duval at Grazi's. They don't have them very often. I'm never sure where they are, but she is quite a little singer. She's been operatic trained. She's young and sexy and just a ball of energy. So if you ever get to see her, do it. And I will have her here next Monday to interview with us. Till then, you stay safe and we'll see you down the road. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.